Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back to the Complete Husband's Handbook podcast. And today we're going to be looking at lighthouses. I know it's kind of an odd thing to say, hey, this is a podcast about husbands and we're talking about lighthouses. Well, recently I've been reading a lot about the art of war. I mentioned it in the last podcast. And there's a saying, there's just one sentence. It's a bit of a throwaway sentence. But it reminds me a lot of lighthouses. And I'm going to read you that sentence. It says, confront chaos with discipline. Treat tumult with calm. This is the mastery of the mind. Now, for me, lighthouses have always been a bit of a fascination. We don't really have them where I grew up. Grew up near the Gulf Coast. Not a whole lot of ports there. There's one in Houston, maybe a half a bit of a one in Beaumont, but there's not a whole lot of traffic. So you really don't need lighthouses. But they've always fascinated me, just how they can take a beating, season after season, year after year, and how sailors depend on them, especially in times of storm. And that's really what we as husbands are supposed to be. We're supposed to be that calm in the storm. We're supposed to be that eye where everything's dancing around us and we stand stolid, strong, and ready to take on anything. And that to me is what this statement says. We as husbands are supposed to confront chaos with discipline. Treat any tumult in our lives with calm. That doesn't mean on the inside we're not screaming bloody murder. But on the outside we're supposed to give that sense of security, that sense of protection that our spouse and our children do depend on. And this truly is the mastery of the mind. Now I'm going to break this sentence down into 3 sections. And the first one is confronting chaos with discipline. Now, fellas, if the past 2 years has taught us anything, it's that in the blink of an eye, the world can go to hell in a handbasket. And fellas, it ain't over yet. We have an express trip downstairs. COVID, Ukraine-Russian border fight, you got China flexing their muscles, you have Australia buying freaking hellfire missiles. If y'all don't know what that is, look that up. That's some crazy stuff. Australia's never really had those before. And it scares me how close we are to another world war. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. God, I hope it doesn't happen. But we need to confront that with discipline. Because tomorrow brings a steady supply of more storms. Even for the religious, some of those who are a bit even keel are going on about Judgment Day, hellfire and damnation and all that good stuff. I don't want that to happen either. Yet we as men, as husbands, we can weather the storm by being prepared. Some of my brother-in-laws and even some of my brothers have a bit of food supply. They got money for a rainy day. They've got extra training, first aid, wilderness survival, all that good stuff. But there's nothing wrong with planning for a rainy day. Having a bit of a nest egg. Now, I know everyone's recovering from COVID right now. Those who want to. But we really do need to start having that nest egg. We need to think smart about what we want in the future and how best to confront whatever chaos is coming. Because, brothers, it's coming. There ain't no lie about that. We need to be prepared for chaos. And the next little part of that is treat tumult with calm. The world's full to the brim with self-gratification. I've got nieces and nephews and godkids who can't go 5 seconds without looking at a computer screen or a cell phone. And we as Americans have this tendency to want what we want, and we want it now. Come hell or high water, damn it, we want it. We've become almost like toddlers. We've regressed into the state of of the gimmies. Gimme, 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 gimme. But have we earned the reward? It seems our communities, regardless of where you live, have actively begun to seek the next gotcha moment. You could see it on the news, CNN, Fox News, all of them. They're looking for ways to stick it to each other, instead of just reporting the damn news. I don't care that CNN and Fox hate each other. Tell me what's going on in the world. I don't want to have to go on YouTube and find it. But, everyone wants that hot take. Right now with the Will Smith thing and the Ukraine thing, it's crazy. I mean, everyone wants to be the first one to put it out there the first, put it out there the most, and get famous. That's not the way it should be, fellas. And all of this is in the name of online clout. For who? I mean, honestly, fellas, think about this. When's the last time you had a proper conversation with someone on Facebook that wasn't on Facebook? When was the last time you spoke to one of them face to face or called them on the phone? I bet it's been a hot minute, hasn't it? So, are we really doing this for them? Or are we missing something in our lives? Amid this tumult of emotions, this hurricane of chaos, we must remain calm. And I'm talking about myself here too. I get hot-blooded a lot. Ask my brother-in-laws, they know. But we need to learn to put down the cell phones and the tablets. We need to learn to walk away. Now, everyone has an opinion. That's fine. Everyone's got it. You don't even have to agree with them. But again, if you know what you're going to say is going to start a fight, maybe we shouldn't say it. And myself included. We really need to step away from online arguments and fighting. We do, because we're just adding to the problems. Not only that, but we bring all that stuff home. Especially if we're doing it at home. It stresses out our lives. Makes problems in our relationships. You really think our wives give a shit about the stuff we say online? I'm sure they would like us to not be as childish. But, we really do need to grow up. And let's be honest here, guys. We do. Myself included. We need to remain calm. If someone's posted something online that you don't like, keep scrolling. I mean, everyone's got an opinion. Let's be honest here. But if we know being on Facebook or group chats or forums or watching a particular channel or listening to somebody's podcast is going to get us all riled up, just don't do it. Go on with your day. Why are we wasting so much energy on stuff that brings nothing but stress and problems in our lives? Let's be honest here. Why? And the last bit of this statement is this is the mastery of mind. Thinking of how lighthouses are built. They're built like cylinders. They can take waves from any direction, wind from any direction, and it doesn't faze them one bit. They're built into the bedrock, so they're not moving and shaking. They're on those solid foundations. And that's how we need to be, fellas. Yes, it is a lifelong pursuit, one that I've not pursued as much as I should have. But we need to do that. We're linear thinkers. We can do this. We can master ourselves. I mean, hell, we put a man on the moon with less technology than what's in your cell phone. We can do this. This ability we have to follow any project or thought to its inevitable conclusion, that's a divine right. Such a trait. Works like a charm. Building structures, roads, mapping unknown lands, discovering ways to make life easier. Why don't we do that for ourselves? Why don't we make our life easier? by simply mastering our minds. Instead of arguing online, why don't we learn a skill? I mean, every skill from every past civilization is available at our fingertips. You can learn to blacksmith by watching YouTube videos. You can learn to suture. You can learn to cook. You can learn to basically do anything. Any subject you've ever thought about wanting to learn, you can. Any language you want to learn, there's an app for that. You want to know where to hike? There's an app for that too. You want to know how to not get into poison ivy? There's an app for that too. There's all these skills we could have. And I promise you we can have if we step away from the crap that really isn't helping us out and learn to master our minds. I mean, there's a cornucopia of stuff out there. I mean, I really have to ask this one question. And it's one my wife has posed to me a couple of times when we were early in our marriage. If society collapsed, could we sustain our families? Not did we have the food available, but could we grow the food? Do we know how to hand wash laundry? Do we know how to sew? Do we know how to change a tire? Can we read a map without a GPS? Do we know how to find east and west without looking at a compass? Can we cook? One of my brother-in-laws is a master chef. And his wife, whenever he gets married, is going to love that. But not a whole lot of men know how to cook or even do laundry. So we really need to start finding these non-perishable skills. Especially with how crazy the world is. Now is the time to invest. I've got brothers-in-law who know a lot about investing in markets and the economy and all that great stuff that's Greek to me, that I'm beginning to learn. But are we investing in ourselves? Can we do what we need to do as men, as fathers, as husbands? If not, fellas, we need to get it on. Because all of these things bring peace of mind. I'm going to share with y'all something a little personal. Now, like I said, I grew up on the Gulf Coast. Hurricanes were a regular thing. Bad storms that lasted hours. And I mean so bad, you looked outside and it was pitch black in the middle of the day. Lightning so bright that if it flashed, you probably couldn't see for about 2-3 seconds. I'm talking about storm winds that you think you're going to get blown off the map. Those kind of storms. And they were a regular thing. But I remember as a kid being scared of the rain. Being scared of the wind. The power would flicker in and out. We really didn't know what to do. And my mom and dad were always real calm about those storms. Especially hurricanes. And it wasn't until I was older that I realized why. The answer is, they were prepared. They had lived through hurricanes themselves. My dad was part of emergency services until he retired. He knew what it was like to not be prepared. My mom knew what it was like to go to the store and there was no food, no water. To turn on the kitchen faucet and there's no water. Or the water's not drinkable. Imagine that. You wake up in the morning, you turn on your faucet and there's brown gunk coming out. Are you going to drink that? Are you going to let your kids drink that? Are you going to let your loved one drink that? Probably not. But my parents always were calm about this. Always. Because they were prepared. They had everything prepped, set, and ready to go. They knew where we were going if we had to evacuate. They knew when we needed to leave. And it wasn't when the government told us to evacuate. It was always either a state or two beforehand. so we could get to where we were going and not be stranded. They always had gas in the tank, ready to go. All important papers, any food, little snacks, games, depending on the age of us kids. They were ready to go at a moment's notice. Snatch up, get in the car, and we're gone. I've actually heard my mom say that. Get your bag, put in 2 days worth of clothes, grab the box over there, put it in the car, we going. Now. But there was no fear. There was no chaos in her voice. My dad never really seemed to worry about these storms. Why? Because my mom and my dad mastered that part of their mind. Was the danger real? Oh, hell yeah, the danger's real. Have you ever seen a 30-foot wave crash through a house? I've only seen videos of it, and brother, I don't want to see it in real life. No. Ain't nothing stopping that. But I didn't have to worry about that. My parents knew what to do. They were prepped, set, ready to go. And so I want to challenge each one of you. Doesn't matter if you're married, doesn't matter if you've got a fiance, doesn't matter if you're dating somebody. As a man, start learning skills that make it possible for you to be prepared. As a man, have a plan in case something happens. Every part of the U.S. has some natural disaster. Know what that is. Be prepared for that. In closing, I'm going to reread the statement one more time. Confront chaos with discipline. Treat tumult with calm. This is the mastery of the mind. Now I'm going to leave 2 websites that offer some insight into skills, and I'm going to see y'all in the next one.